How you doing, folks? So today we are doing a good old Irish classic. It's simply Irish stew made with the finest lamb. Here we go. So folks, for our traditional Irish stew in our crock pot, we are going to use the best lamb I have available to me at the moment, and this is from Hock's Butchers in Ennisdiamond. It's perfectly trimmed, just the right amount of fat on there for flavour that we're going to need for this dish. Not too much, which is great. Also, of course, potatoes. We got about 6 medium potatoes here, roughly chopped. I got some lamb stock and some chicken stock combined, just for a bit of extra flavour. About a cup and a half of leeks. That was kind of like one medium leek, roughly chopped. One onion, roughly chopped, and carrots. I have about 5 medium. They're all organic carrots, the potatoes, leeks, and the onions, and also this turnip. So turnip wouldn't traditionally go in there, but I have it available. I'm going to use it, and I think for an Irish stew, what they did do is they used up whatever they had in their kitchen. So we're going to start by cooking off our lamb first. So I'm using a pan instead of a pot because this is a very wide pan and loads of surface area here, so I can keep an eye on all the lamb, make sure it's browned all the way around. So I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of the rapeseed oil into here first of all. Now we're just going to add the lamb. So I'm just going to check to see if it's hot enough, and it's not quite there yet, so I'm just going to give it another minute. You don't want it to stew on there, you want to get a nice brown. So that temperature is improved, so I'm just going to add a half of it first of all. I'm not going to add it all because it's just going to drop the temperature of the pan too much and end up stewing it, which we don't want to do that just yet. Now that I feel that the pan is hot enough to take the other half, I just simply get the other half in there. So now we have our lamb browned off. I'm going to remove it from the pan, but I'm going to remove it using the tongs. I don't want to empty all of it into the crock pot because I want to keep the fat in the pan that we're going to use to cook some of the vegetables off just a little bit. So I've got my insert of my crock pot here. I'm just going to remove all that lamb and put it in there for starters, and that can just sit there for a little while until we're ready to move on. So that's my lamb set aside, and now onto the vegetables. So in with the onions and the leeks. And I'm also going to get my carrots in there as well. It's not necessarily if you put the carrots in there, you can put them in at the end, but I think it's just going to release an extra bit of flavour in there. Now there's a nice bit of oil in there. So once we cook this down a little bit, I'm going to get some flour in there, about a half a cup. And that's going to help thicken our stock once it goes in with the lamb and the rest of the vegetables. So lovely vibrant colours in there, and we're just going to get some seasoning there. So just some salt and some pepper. You're talking about a teaspoon and a half really of each. You can always adjust the seasoning at the end of the cooking if you think it needs a little bit more salt and pepper. So now the half cup of flour. Now you could add the flour when you're doing the meat. Some people would do that, but I prefer to release the flavours and the juices from the meat a little bit, so it permeates through your vegetables at the same time. So I've cooked off that flour for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Now I'm just going to add the stock. So you can get it all in here now. And then we're going to let it cook down for another 2-3 minutes. That's going to thicken up slightly. So now into our stock pot goes all that stock and vegetables. And now we're just going to top it off with some turnip and some potatoes. And then we're ready to cook it. So that's the turnip and potatoes in there. So we're just going to give it a little mix around. And don't worry if there's any vegetables sticking out over the top of the liquid. The lid's going to be on this, so it is going to steam it anyhow. So in there, I'm just going to put some sprigs of thyme. I'm just going to get it straight in there. No need to chop it. It's going to be in there for like 5 or 6 hours. So we can pull it out at the end. The flavour will have already been used and gone through our stew by then. So now we just get the lid on. Like that. Switch it to high. So high on this is just about the high 60 degrees, about 68, 69, which is about 140 Fahrenheit. So we're going to leave that for about 5 to 6 hours. So our Irish lamb stew has been on for about 7 hours now in this crock pot. And you can see it's thickened nicely. It's got a lovely colour. And that meat right there, you can see it is just falling apart. It's so tender right now. So now we're just going to serve it up. So perfectly cooked vegetables and meat, and all that really needs is a nice dollop of mashed potato. So there you have it, folks. Beautiful traditional Irish stew featuring Market House Hawks Butcher's lamb.